What's up, everybody? Back again with another video to help you all with your journey to minimalism. As y'all know, I've been practicing minimalism since early 2020. Still currently practicing, still currently learning, still currently, going through this myself. As I go through this and as people join this journey, we learn as we go. Nobody is perfect. And I wanted to talk to you all about financial minimalism and how to go about spending less and how minimalism can really help you financially. You don't really understand how minimalism and practicing simplistic living can affect you financially. You know what I'm saying? You might end up with a whole bunch of money in your bank account and not even know it whenever you start practicing minimalism because you're not spending as much as you usually do. That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and go ahead and like. Hold on, I said like. Go ahead and comment in the comment section. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Like I said, we're dropping knowledge every single week on here. Minimalism, self-development, vlogs. If you're interested in those things, you might want to consider subscribing because your boy is on the up and up. But let's get into the video. So when it comes to financial minimalism, you have to understand spending less. Let's say it together. Spending less. So you can't really go across this journey and this bridge of minimalism and simplistic living without spending less. So that's what we need to talk about here. How do you spend less to start financial minimalism? But the first step to this is thinking about how you spend. How are you spending your money? You have to do some type of analysis. You have to think about what are you spending your money and how are you spending your money, and do you keep track of spending your money? That's key to financial minimalism and spending less. So like for me, for example, I realized that I used to spend a whole bunch of money on fast food, a whole bunch of money on buying clothes, which, is still a work in progress for me. I'm not perfect. I still like buying clothes from time to time, but I'm doing it less. You have to figure out where you're spending your money and retract from doing that. So if you're spending your money on a lot of fast food, which is a big problem as millennials. We spend money on fast food because it's easy. Instead of spending groceries and meal prepping and stuff like that, a lot of us are spending money on fast food. So if you revert from spending money on fast food and then going back to look at statements and seeing how much money you spent on fast food, add that up and see how much money you spent on fast food per month and see how much you will be saving per month, you'll realize that if you spend less, you will gain more financial freedom in that area. And a good app to use is Mint. I haven't utilized Mint this year. I should go back to utilizing it. But when I do go back to utilizing it, I'll actually do a video on it. But utilize Mint because it will track your spending for you. Some bank apps track your spending for you. I use Bank of America as one of my banking apps, and it kind of tracks my spending for me, so I haven't had to use Mint. But one thing about Mint is, it goes a little bit deeper. And it also, you can set notifications of when you're about to reach or go over a budget. You know what I'm saying? So try out Mint, but track where you're spending your money the most and stop doing that. You can't really go about a financial minimalism and spending less without figuring out where you're spending your money. A next tip to spending less is stop rewarding yourself with monetary items. A lot of us, when we get a promotion, we're like, in order to reward myself, I'm going to go buy this. In order to reward myself, I'm going to go buy a Gucci belt. Y'all ladies, in order to reward yourself, you're going to go buy you a Louis Vuitton purse. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times, we don't have to do that. We're just justifying why we should make an expensive purchase. Most of these high-priced purchases, on-the-whim purchase, are going into effect because we're trying to treat ourselves for stuff that we've been doing in our life. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't praise yourself. I'm not saying that you shouldn't congratulate yourself, but you don't always have to congratulate yourself in a monetary way. You don't always have to make a big purchase because you're doing great things in your life. is your life. You're supposed to be doing great things, so you don't have to keep rewarding yourself with purchases that you've been thinking about, and you was like, man, I ain't buying this, it's too much. But then you're justifying buying it because you're like, well, I'm gonna reward myself. I did this, I deserve it now. Try to steer away from that mindset, because that mindset will have you spending more money than you think you should. Think about things that you want. You want right now. You start to train yourself and think about ways on how you can get that. And if you don't have any particular way, you're going to realize that you revert back to treating yourself and using the opportunity to reward yourself whenever something good go on in your life to purchase it. So you might know that you have money, or you might know that you can scrap out the money to get it, but you don't want to do it right then and there because you don't necessarily have a reason to do it. But when you got to reward yourself, then you're like, this is a reason for me to make this purchase. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with buying those items if that's what you want to buy. But if you know it's a huge item that you have to buy that's going to be a huge hit on your bank account, a huge hit on your credit card, think about it more. Think about if you really need this item versus want, and try to steer away from rewarding yourself in order to get it. So the third key to spending less is to budget. And once again, I would recommend checking out Mint. They're not a sponsor of my channel. It's just an app that I've used. Or take a look at your bank app and see if they have a way to track your spending. The best way to start a budget is, and I'm gonna do a separate video on this, but the best way to start a budget is see what you're making yearly, divide that down to what you're making monthly, divide that down into your paycheck per month after taxes is taken out, and see how much money you're making per pay period and per month after taxes is taken out. Once you do that, you kind of see what you're working with. You need to see what you're working with. Once you see what you're working with, then you go in and see, well, I can afford this for grocery, add that to your budget and don't go over it. I can add this for entertainment, add that to your budget and don't go over it. Add it for gas and everything and don't go over it. That's the reason to have a budget, is to not go over what you set for yourself. And if you don't have a budget, you just spend because you don't have a limit for yourself. And it's good to have stuff left over. So don't just utilize all of your budget. So if you do your calculations and next thing you know, you're making a certain amount per pay period, don't utilize all the money that you're making per pay period. Lessen the amount that you spend, even though you might have a lot to spend. Lessen the amount that you use so that budget don't get eaten up, because unforeseen things come up all the time, and if you don't have the money for it, now you're going to be using the credit cards and things like that. The last key to spending less is asking yourself, if I make this purchase, am I going to be in the negative? Or will this take a huge hit on my current account, my current budget? Ask yourself this question before you make a purchase, because a lot of the times we make purchases on a whim. We make purchases without thinking. We make purchases without going through a process to really realize if we need to buy this or not. So ask yourself this question: if I make this purchase, will this take a hit on my bank account? Or are you banking on, I got $1,000 in the bank right now, but I'm gonna buy this and it costs $800, but I get paid next week, so I should be fine. If you don't have a good bit of money in the bank account to buy that and still have some left over without having to wait around for another paycheck, you shouldn't be buying it. If you got to put it on a credit card and you don't quite have the money right now to pay it directly off, you probably shouldn't be buying it. So will you making this purchase put you in a negative? Because that's going to be ultimately how it helps you spend less, because you're thinking about and processing spending in a whole nother way. We grow up thinking about spending, being consumers, buying, showing that we have this certain amount of status and status through spending, that we don't think about, can we actually make this purchase and still be comfortable? Can we still make this purchase and still, not have the hit on our account? Think about this, guys. The last thing I want you to do is make these purchases and be out here buying without having conscious decisions on why you're buying it, why you should, and if you should. Don't be that person. Don't be that person just swiping and going out and doing this and swiping and swiping and swiping. Make decisions appropriately. for where you're at with your finances. And that will help you spend less.